Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much. Um, so, today I am answering your questions. Any questions you might have in the chat, please ask me. Any questions that may arise while you're listening to this, please ask. So, I've had a few questions emailed to me, and I'll be answering those today, as well as giving you guidance, sending you the guidance that I've received. So, when we receive guidance, whether someone's asking a question or we're sharing something, it's for everybody. So, if someone asks a question and the guidance is being channeled to them, hi, and the guidance is being channeled, know that there's a jewel or an aspect of that for you as well. Okay. There's always an aspect of someone else's guidance that we're listening to or receiving for someone, for ourselves. Okay. So, hi, I was just looking in the chat room. Hi, thank you so much for joining me. It's so nice to see you all. Thank you. So, for example, if someone in the chat room asks a question and I channel the guidance for them, know that a part of that is for you as well. Whatever makes you go, oh, yeah, I've been thinking about that too. Or, there's a key that I've needed to receive. Okay, so there's always that aspect there. Now, there is this great question that someone has asked me, and they've received guidance from one person. I know they're saying in the chat room that they adore guidance sessions and how they work because it's incredible how it works. Um, it's all divine timing. It all comes through for the highest good of all concerned, and that's what I was going to say is that we are present in the moment. And if you will, there are just like strings on a harp. I could pick up my harp and show you, but there are strings on a harp, right? Just like a guitar, a piano keys. And things aren't exactly linear. That sound that I pluck on that linear string, the sound vibrates and it can vibrate around just as if you throw a stone and some water and it ripples out. So you can see that there are these concentric circles and they ripple out. So we can move from ripple to ripple, from string to string when we're playing an instrument. And so this is how guidance works. If we're present in the moment and we receive guidance, then and we follow the steps that the guidance has given us, then it takes us to a particular path. Okay, it opens us on a particular pathway. Now, let's say that someone else gives guidance to this person on that particular, to you on that particular pathway, and it sounds very different. And you think, wow, one person channeling guidance gave me this plan A or path A, and the other person seemed like they gave me path B. Not necessarily, right? So it's all about our frequency and our resonance. It's about where we are in the present moment. And have we listened to our guidance? Did we follow our guidance? Did we listen to our heart and follow our heart and take those steps that we needed to take? And so each person, so let me get my crystal here, each person that channels guidance will channel something like this side, and someone else may see this perspective over here and be channeling this perspective. It's all part of the whole. Okay, and it all depends on how we are moving forward in our journey, or if we're stuck or plateaued, or if we're not listening to our heart, if we're not taking the steps necessary. So guidance can seem like it's different from different people, but it's all part of the same song. Okay, so I wanted to start with that because there was a question of that. Now, I will say about the channel that it's coming through. The channel, right, that the guidance is flowing through needs to be open and from their heart center to channel that information. And sometimes there will be a channel that may be a little bit in fear for some reason, and they haven't set the space, or, um, you know, perhaps they're not doing it for the highest good of someone else. And so it'll be very different. But the person listening to that information will know. They'll know from their heart if that's true or not. Okay. So we always want to take what resonates and leave the rest, even if it's something that's challenging to hear and we receive guidance over it, but we know deep down that it's disturbing us for a reason. And that means something's stirring within our cauldron, our womb cauldron, our chalice that's going, oh, okay, it's time to look at that. Okay. So just to give a little perspective on that, I could go further and further, but okay. So let's start with this question. I'm going to, let's see, I'm thinking about the question. So someone has asked about perspective or perception, the way that people see an individual. So, and this beautiful Light's world and her reality, there's a fear, okay, that people are perceiving her a particular way. So if you feel like someone's perceiving you a particular way, the first thing that comes through, and then I'll give it specifically to her, but for everybody, is to think about, are you perceiving yourself this way? Bring it home. Bring it back to your heart. Ask your heart, am I looking at myself like this? Is this how I see myself? Do I see myself in this lens? Am I singing the song to myself? Am I patterning these thoughts and looking at myself in this perspective? Am I, whether it's anything, am I coloring myself with this color? And that's not true. Okay, so for the particular individual who's asked this, those people may be looking at you in that way and judging. That would be a judgment, or not. But see, if they're looking at you in that way, okay, then that's on them, because they are reflecting a part of themselves onto you. And that's theirs to heal, theirs to take back and heal, because they're seeing themselves in this manner. It doesn't mean that they, I'm trying to protect the question a little bit here. It doesn't mean that they are exactly what you think you are. It just means that they need to they need to heal judgment about themselves. Okay, and ask themselves, wow, if I'm judging that person, then how am I judging myself? Because that's really judgment on me. And so for you that's asked that question, beautiful light, think about, firstly, are you judging yourself? And is this what you're playing in your song, your mind, over and over again, is saying that you are? Because you are not that. You are so much greater than that. That's something that fear can be swept away. Okay, that's a patterning in society. When someone thinks that someone, for example, dresses provocatively, or dresses like a spinster, or is a recluse, or those are all judgments and societal ways that people have woven this pattern onto someone, or this stamp onto someone. We are not cookie cut. We're not the same. We're all beautiful aspects of the divine. So trust that you are the one that's kind of weaving this thought pattern in your mind. And so for you to sing out, I am happy with who I am. I am happy with where I am. I am happy with how I'm moving forward and the things that I'm healing. Then that frequency and song goes out to them, and they will start looking at what they need to heal, what they're happy with, what they need to readjust in their lives, because they'll have that feeling. They'll feel that song and that melody. They'll feel that vibration and frequency from you. And then it'll start healing them as well, because we're spreading seeds of light with our actions, with our thoughts of ourselves, with the way that we treat ourselves, with the way that we treat the world, other people, Pachamama, the animals, the elements, right? We can heal through all of these things. So we need to work on ourselves first. It's about us. And so know that however someone perceives you is their business, not yours. Okay. So the guidance is it's not your business how someone perceives you. It's your business how you choose to resonate, how you choose to dance, how you choose to be in your truth. So you don't need to make up reasons or excuses or placate anyone by pretending that you're something you're not, or you're in a relationship if you're not, or you're not in a relationship if you are, because of pressure of other people, or that you need to dress a certain way because of pressure of other people. It's about you being your unique aspect of the divine and you singing that song. So what if it disturbs people? Because you've planted seeds. Sometimes those seeds are uncomfortable for people. They're like, what is that? What is that? What is that light coming at me? What is that love coming at me? I'm not used to that. I'm not used to self-love. What is that? So be in your self-love. Speak your truth. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter what anyone else says in that respect. Okay. So I don't know how to turn that sound off. Sorry. But anyway, here's a card I drew for everybody. And so it'll also be guidance for that person. Follow your heart. Okay. Follow your heart. And these are the card deck by Noelle Swanson and I, Nighttime Dreamtime 45 Children's Bedtime Affirmations. So, but follow your heart. If something's exhausting you, if something is exhausting you, it isn't serving you. Okay. So if it's exhausting keeping up a facade, drop the facade. It doesn't matter how other people see you. You're beautiful. Don't cover up your beauty. Don't cover up your song, your light, your uniqueness, your individuality. And I know it can be challenging standing in that fire, especially when you feel like you're surrounded by people that are looking at you like, what are you talking about? And why are you not behaving this way? And, you know, why are you not conforming? We're not here to conform. We're here to evolve, to expand, to grow, to love. So send those people compassion, but mostly send it to yourself, compassion. Okay. So, yeah, this flamingo. So, this flamingo is these birds can stand on one foot. And the other day, my son asked me, how do they stand on one foot and just sleep like that? Exactly. Right? Because they know they can. They are aligned and balanced. Alignment. So that's what this card represents to me as well. When we are aligned, we're listening and following our heart. When we're following and listening our heart, we are aligned, right? We can balance no matter what, on a finger, on a pinky, on one arm, right? So let's see. Would you know that you're releasing? Here's another question. Would you know that you're releasing something, right? That you're working towards that and you're releasing it? You're going to feel, most likely, I won't say definitely, but most likely, you're going to feel those depths and ebbs and flows, right? You're going to feel that emotion rise. You're going to feel like everything is so challenging, and it's challenging you, and it's you walking through that fire, standing in your heart. Sometimes we walk through that threshold of fire. I almost wrote that the other day. That's a little bit of an inside joke for myself too. That threshold of fire, though. And this is what's coming through is, it's like the phoenix. We walk through that gateway of fire, not burned down, not burned, but transmuted, transformed. It's like Bridget. She transforms in the fire. She's she smelts things in the fire. It's alchemy. It is rebirthing through fire. Sometimes it's that inner fire that rises within us and we think, oh my gosh, nobody is listening, nobody's acknowledging, or everybody's pushing in on me and wants me to conform to their truths, their belief systems. It's not about that. We're here to be our unique soul, okay, and to express that and to express it in joy. So if something isn't bringing you joy, then you take the steps to shift it. You take the steps to align to it. And so here's the second card I drew for everybody. And again, from the same deck, it says a magical treehouse is waiting for you to explore its rooms of wonder. And so this is to help children sleep, but also us as well, to think about this and meditate on it, create a story from it. But what this is, and what I love that Noelle did, is she painted each house here to the different chakras, right? The colors of our different chakras. And this to me also, when we read it when we tune into it on a deeper level, we think about what rooms within us do we need to explore? Okay, because we have our beautiful heart space, and it has 33 chambers within it. 33 chambers. A chamber is a room. It's a treasure chest, a trove of life, of cosmos, of creation. The womb space for everybody, right? The crown chakra. What rooms within us? What chakra do you need to explore? Which one are you finding that you're holding on to pain or suffering or old patterning, old belief systems, judgments, right? Where are you? What do you need to explore? And I ask this in dream time. So if you're having a dream and you dream about a building or an old residence you used to live in, or it doesn't have to be an old building, but any building that you're in, any house, any residence, that is a reflection of you, okay? So it's partly that it represents foundation, right? The foundation that you are currently building for yourself, or that you're currently putting yourself into, the environmental foundation you're putting yourself into. But it also represents you, okay? The different floors and rooms of that building or house represents the different aspects of yourself, from the basement, our base chakra, right? Our root, our deepest, most inner self, to the attic or on top of the roof, the enlightenment, past the crown chakra, right? Up into the higher chakras. So think about that next time you dream of a building or some house or wherever you are inside of. All right. So thank you. Thank you. I love these cards too. I love the colors. The colors are actually that Noelle did. I drew another card, and they are therapeutic colors, right? For children, for adults, they're therapy. It's art therapy that she did. And embedded in all of them is sacred geometry and light language. Yay. So your pet wants to play with you and your dreams. I'll bring this forward a little bit more. Okay, so when I pulled this one, it was more about the animal magic around us. And what animals have you been dreaming of? And what animals do you see around you, right? And what animals are connecting with you and giving you animal magic, medicine, healing? And the medicine and the healing, that's one and the same to me. They give you I was looking at the chat room. Yeah. They give you on a physical level, on an emotional, mental, spiritual level. And depending on the animal, if they're in the sea, on ground, in a tree, in the air, or if they traverse the realms, right? Dragons, bees, they're miracle beings, unicorns, right? These kinds of magical beings that we know are real, that exist. So think about what you're seeing in dream time, what you really connect to right now, what animal you really connect to right now, because this is your animal medicine to be working with and calling upon that animal spirit to connect with and help you with anything going on right now in your life. And it's also that animal showing you where you're going. I keep seeing hawk in the sky, a lot of hawk and falcons. And so I know that to me, hawk and falcons represent Isis, Hathor, Osiris, Horus. Oh, okay. So think about, so dogs, really, right? Dogs are unconditional. They're loyal. They're unconditional. They are just, they have no judgment, right? They're open-hearted, completely open-hearted, and they just want to play. They want to have their tummies rubbed and backs rubbed and ears scratched. So it's about cuddling. It's about playing. It's about loving. It's about, just unconditional joy, really. I see dogs as the land of dolphins in a way, unconditional joy. And so, yeah, I offer that to the person, which they likely know that in the chat. So this is fascinating because we're moving into a full moon, right? The full moon is coming on Tuesday. So yeah, that's going to be a really powerful day for the full moon. So notice your dreams. That's something that was coming through before I hopped on, is notice your dream time. Notice what's happening. Know that what you're dreaming about right now, please write it down and date your dreams. Okay. But notice that the moon is waxing. So you're building towards something, and your dream time is showing you what that is. And that's okay if you're even releasing in your dreams. It's showing you how you're building towards all of that releasement to bring something in. Okay. And then notice what stars the moon is dancing through. Okay. Thank you in the chat room. Oh, so much love there. But notice the stars that are dancing. The moon is dancing through what stars? And that's another layer to your dream time. Okay. That and the moon phase. So you want to think about that. You want to think about, again, what animals are coming through, what chakra you're exploring in your dream time. Okay. And I've noticed myself that I've been really expanding in my dreams for the collective. And then my personal dreams that aren't for collective, but are for me personally, have become more interdimensional, is how I'll describe it. So I wonder how yours have been. If you're watching this as a replay, I'd love to hear your comments below, or you can reach out, at awakening@melissavirtue.com, and let me know. I'm always so honored to hear them. Yeah, so everything can get really intense before a full moon and before a new moon, before an equinox, right? Before any of these gateways. But so if we think about it, I've said this before, and those of you who have heard me say, the sun is pouring his light into her, the moon as a chalice, as a disc, matching the sun disk, right? The masculine sun disk and the feminine lunar, right? So we have that God and goddess aspect, divine masculine, feminine within. And so he's pouring his light into her, and she's receiving it, opening, allowing that beautiful light and seeding of light and nourishment within her until she's full, till she's pregnant. And so for us, that also, she's shining that light upon us. She is sharing that light with us that she's receiving. So it's like she's shining her light upon all of the children of Pachamama, all of the kingdoms, all of the realms, and blessing, sharing and enlightening our path, illuminating what we need to bring up within ourselves, because she's the womb space within. She's the inner realms of us. He's the outer realm of us and how we express outwardly. So, she's helping us bring that from all the way from our womb space, our root, all the way up out to go, oh, that's what I need to release as I'm moving into this fullness, right? And so things get very intense before a full moon, very intense. So ride with it, play with it. When something wild happens and you're like, oh, that was super intense. If you need to cry, if you need to intone it out, if you need to holy fire it wherever, calmly or loudly, or do that. Embody it, acknowledge it, listen to it. Okay. And then do a cartwheel, roll on the ground, shift the energy around for yourself. Okay. Yeah, super vast dreams, very cosmic. Mm-hmm. So this is a good statement made in the chat room. When we are observers in dream time of other people. So if you're dreaming and you're watching, you're being an observer of others, then there's information for you to observe the patternings, the interaction, the energies, right? And to understand, like, what are they reflecting to you, but also to hold that space if you recognize that this is something going on with these people that you're dreaming of, right? To hold that space for them to, I mean, it depends on what's going on, but I do always feel like it's a part of us, but that we are traveling to that place and that sacred space to witness and hold that space for them. So that's very interesting, because to me that's definitely a travel in dream time. So, and for those of you that don't know that about traveling, or dreams are indescribable. They're powerful, they're sacred, and yeah, I could go on and on and on about dreams. I'm going to share this card that I drew, springtime. So awakening. Right now we are in late spring, and we're continuing to open. Right now you're probably awakening to a new path, or opening to a new path, or feeling like you're about to emerge into something new. It is coming, it is there, it's opening. I feel like summer, really that official summer, which is the 20th, that gateway of the summer solstice brings that action. We'll be crossing another threshold, so expect it to get a little bit intense for yourself and likely for the collective. But there's a lot of renewal going on right now up to this full moon. And I feel like it's going to continue as we release during the waning moon, and she pours that beautiful light that her and the sun have created onto us. And she begins to wane in the light. Then I feel like we will be continuing to move into this renewal, crossing that threshold. Again, I keep hearing threshold of fire. But again, it's transmutation, it's purification, transformation, and alchemy. It's not to be burned or painful or hurt during that summer solstice. I'm just going to read the chat room for a minute. That's fascinating. Yeah, I'm going to think about that for a minute while I go on with these cards. So, food, nourishment, relationships, health. So, how are you nourishing yourself? How are you nourishing yourself on all levels? Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically? What nourishment have you discovered that you're dropping away, that you no longer need? And that can include food. It can include activities you used to do, people, relationships. Are you nourishing your relationships, and what relationships are important to you? Those people, going all the way back to that beautiful lights reading or guidance that came through, of how people are perceiving her, you don't need that, right? So you don't need to be around people that are not nourishing. okay? Especially if they're not nourishing themselves and that don't feel good, that don't feel right, don't feel good, okay? So if you can't help that, like if you're in a situation where you love your work, your job, and you're there, and these people are surrounding you, anyway, I'm hearing that you can place a really beautiful light around yourself. You can, before you go into the space, what I like to do is send my heart light. I wrap my heart light around myself, and then I send my heart light into that space before I go there. So if it's your work, sending heart light and compassion there, sending, I see the flower of life or the seed of life, and I call it also the seed of light and flower of light over the building that I'm walking into. Sometimes I do that over a person, but they're not able to accept it unless they have a moment of help or, any way that they are asking for help or assistance, then it comes in because free will. But think about how you're nourishing yourself, how you're nourishing your relationships, especially with yourself. Okay. I love the chat room. So that's important. Let's see. Okay, we are all going through rites of passage. This came up and I posted it the other day on my Facebook. Mugwort. So mugwort in the Druidic Celtic traditions, and maybe other ones as well, is smoked, saged, used as like sage, just burned, right, to clear spaces. It's used in tea forms. It's used, I use it and crush it and in a dream pillow and put it on my nightstand or under my pillow, depending on if I want to go there. Mugwort really opens the portals, the gateways to multidimensional travel, to the realm of the Fae. And for those of you, flower fairies are beautiful. They're sweet, they're lovely. Sprites are beautiful. They can be interesting, tread lightly with sprites. But when I talk about Fae, I'm talking Tuatha De Danann, I'm talking cosmic beings. Some of them are taller than us, some of them are our size. I'm talking about the ancient ones and the ones that are still here, the ones that went underground, the hallowed, or as I say, hallowed hills. Hallowed meaning sacred, that they're underground in Mother Earth, right? Or in some of those dwellings that we know exist within the earth. And so, but we're all going through this sacred rite, this rite of passage. And I see rites of passages on a calm level, or more mundane level, I should say, is, birthdays, although there's nothing mundane about birthdays, but birthdays, the solar return. I see, marriages, birthings, any kind of accomplishments that was a desire from your heart that you've accomplished or created, But then on another level, we are going through this rite of passage cosmically and, on the soul level. And that's really powerful. So know that if you stand in that place and you're thinking that this is very challenging right now, this is very emotional, mental, physical, it's taking everything. Just know you're moving through a rite of passage, and mugwort can be your ally. Okay, I would definitely yes, personalized New Year, the solar return, when we make our trip around the sun each year, and you celebrate that. One of my favorite things to do is either having my chart done or guidance received or whatever it may be. It's because, and I encourage you to do the same, because it's a renewal for yourself, and you're not the same person you were last trip around the sun. You're not the same person you were a couple of days ago or even yesterday, right? Our cells are constantly, and our electrons are constantly shifting and changing and evolving and opening. Our DNA is opening. We are cosmic, multidimensional beings, right? So yes, that's something that I love to do. So I encourage you for that as well. But know that this is a rite of passage right now that we're all going through, collectively as well as individually. Okay. And those where the guidance that has come through is just paying attention to your dreams. Don't be so hard on yourself with all of this. Find your joy in the moments. Find where you are. And even if you have that fire rising and you're thinking, breathe it down, breathe it down. Sometimes my son will say, do we need to breathe it down right now? I say, yes, let's breathe it down. To just drop it down. Allow whatever, your mind, your mental body is doing to take a nice inhale, exhale. And I like to bring my hands, to heart center and maybe one down to my solar plexus for a moment. Take some deep breaths because I'm connecting my heart to my divine masculine. Then I drop it down to my womb space and I connect it to my divine feminine. And so I allow myself to realign in that way. Yes, absolutely. If you want to email me about anything, any questions that arise right now, please do. Don't feel like you are ever sending too many questions when we're doing lives like this and I'm answering questions and guidance. This is for you. I want you to be able to ask any questions you like. Okay, that's why I'm here. But if you want to email me, please do. And I will definitely answer those to you personally or via YouTube or Instagram Live, which Instagram Lives will be happening on Saturdays most likely, or in the evenings. I'm kind of switching my schedule around a little bit, so we'll see how they flow. But I will be back on there. So one last thing. Yeah, I think a lot of us, so in the chat room, I think a lot of us are moving through all the elements. So for a couple of days, you may be moving through the element of fire. Know that the element of fire sits in the south, and it is, that old masculine. And this depends, I will say, this depends on what you believe. There are different belief systems about the wheel of life or the medicine wheel or whatever you may call it, the directions, right? But for me, the south is fire, and it's like Merlin, the wise king, the old masculine. And it's represented by the staff or the wand. Okay. And a crystal. I always see a crystal in the wand because the fire can light our way. It's healing. Fire is healing. It's alchemizing. It smelts and shapes and shifts, and it burns off the old. So a lot of us may move through that alchemy of fire for a few days. Just be with it. Allow it to flow through you. Acknowledge it. Okay. And perhaps you need to make some actions, maybe create something, right? Or go move your body a lot to get that fire burning out, okay, out through your light, dense body. And then in other ways, the element of air, we might be studying that, which is a mental body. And we might have a lot of thinking, and thought patterns coming up that we need to unweave and all of that. And then the same with water, emotions. We might be diving down deep in those emotions. So embody, feel them, acknowledge them, allow them to be, and know that you're just making a rite of passage. This is a rebirthing, a resurrection. And that's another reason why I think I keep seeing the hawk and the falcon is its resurrection of our divine child within. Okay. It's that divine masculine, feminine coming together, making union. And this also is the 666 portal that just occurred. And if you add all of those numbers together, those 3 6s, it's a 9, which is a triple trinity. I mean, I love it. And so we hold that divine masculine feminine union is really merging and calling to us and having us acknowledge and embody. Okay. And from that, we will birth our divine child within and renew ourselves. So this rite of passage is really big. So Also, the dying off of the old, that winter, the north, the element of the north is the winter. It's the dying off the old. It's the earth. So connecting to Pachamama. Allow yourself to be out in nature. Allow yourself to breathe, feel the elements, become the elements, allow them to flow through you. Speak the elements, sing the elements, move with the elements. Okay. All right. So you're welcome. So, okay, there's a question in the chat room. What shadow is it to integrate when you feel protective over friends? Okay, so when you feel a friend is experiencing something and you feel protective about it, you know it's their life and they've got it, but you still feel protective. Okay, so I feel like that this could be seen in many different perspectives, really. But the one that's coming through very strongly, and the one that I align with, is when we feel protective of someone, we know that that's their life and that they need to move through what they need to move through and heal what they need to heal. Then, really, it's coming from this place of compassion. We want to hold that space for them, right? And we want to just be there, witness, listen, send them blessings, love, light, whatever you feel called to do. It'll enter when they need it, when they ask for it, consciously, subconsciously. But I don't really perceive it as a shadow, more as I perceive it as we are also looking at a perspective of ourselves, of going, boundaries for people, this is my life. So when we bring it back to ourselves, we look at it like, well, this is my life. I'm moving through it. I appreciate the blessings, but I know that I need to make the movements I need to move with. I need to speak my truth and be my unique voice and creative expression and creation and my unique aspect of the divine. And so when we see that in someone else, I think that's what it's sharing with us, as well as we're telling ourselves we feel compassion. We are holding that space for them, that we so want them to feel loved and healed and moving for their highest good and in that place for their highest good and making those choices for their highest good, but knowing that all that we can do is send love, compassion, blessings, right? Until they ask us to do something. But then for ourselves, that reflection would be more of, I feel, this is, okay, does that make sense? Yeah. This is my truth, and I will stand in it. And it doesn't matter what other people say or how they respond or perceive me and my actions, right? As long as we're keeping ourselves healthy, and it's a check on ourselves. Am I making healthy choices? Am I nourishing myself? Am I treating myself well? Am I filling my cup? So then I can be of service to the earth, to the world, to this ascension process, to love and light, right? So yeah, protective for our friends. Yeah, I just think that that's it's about love, isn't it? We're here to love and to remember that we are love and to remember we came from love. And no matter what, that's what we are. We are love. We are loved. And to remember that we are protected from the divine, with the divine. The divine is protecting us, and that we are loved by the divine. And so I hope that makes sense with what you're asking. So I'm going to end it on that. Okay. You are love, and you are loved deeply. Always. You always have been, always will be. And I thank you for joining me. I heart bow to you. And unless there are any more questions in the chat room, Okay. So here's the last card that actually fell out when I was picking up the other cards. Fire. I love it. Fire. It's beautiful, right? Transmutation, purification, standing in that passion, your heart, standing in your heart's flame, that divine flame within your heart. That beautiful rose that's opening to the light. That's what I think of, that divine light, and opening and receiving nourishment. So many blessings to you. Thank you so much for joining me. And you can connect with me at awakening@melissavirtue.com. Direct message me on my Instagram, my Facebook, or chat with me here. So many blessings.